I say hello to all my genius students. Hello everyone, I'm Suman Balyan, your English educator. Today I'm giving this video on Snapshot Chapter 4, Albert Einstein at School, written by Patrick Pringle. This chapter raises a question, and the question is, what should be the purpose of education? Information gathering or insight information? I know that you don't know the difference between education information and gathering insight information. There are two words here, but I will clear at last, and you definitely will find out which option was opted. To understand the chapter better, let's talk about the characters of the story. Here are the characters: Albert Einstein, who is the greatest physicist. Mr. Braun is the history teacher of Albert. Mr. Koch, mathematics teacher of Albert Einstein. Yuri is the best friend of Albert, and Elsa is the cousin of Albert. Here one more character is the head teacher, who is the principal of Albert in Albert's school, and he expelled Albert from the school due to a specific reason. I'm not going to tell you the specific reason because I don't want to open the secret. What's the reason behind that he was expelled from the school? I want you to read the chapter thoroughly, to listen to this video, to watch it carefully, and ultimately you'll get to know what was a specific reason that he was expelled from school. Like every chapter, this chapter is based on a specific theme. If we talk about the theme of the story, then it means school system often curbs individual talent. And I know that one word that's very new, that is curbs. So students, here curbs means to suppress or to pressurize, or we can say to kill individual talent. Actually, this story is a poignant comment on the way education is being imparted in most of the schools. Too much emphasis is laid upon mugging up useless facts, and hardly any attention is given to original thinking. Often, children's abilities and requirements are ignored, and they are pushed into a mechanical framework as guided by the pre-designed curriculum. Einstein refused to be harassed anymore and chose his own way of living. That's why in this chapter you'll get to know that he argued with his history teacher in the beginning of the chapter. So let's see the scene of the school. This is the classroom of Albert Einstein, and somewhere Albert is also sitting among his classmates. It was his history class, and history teacher Mr. Braun asked question to Albert that Albert, you just tell me Prussians defeated French at the Battle of Waterloo. So tell me in which year? So Albert says he doesn't know. He tells his teacher frankly that he sees no point in learning dates and facts because dates and facts could be seen from the book. Ideas to Albert are more important than mere facts and figures. So Mr. Braun gets angry, reprimands Albert for his views, and he gave a punishment that Albert would have to leave in the school for an extra period. And he asked him to leave the school too. But he was too angry that you can see in the picture here that he is Mr. Braun, and he was too much angry because of the argument. We can say here that Albert was not only unhappy with his school, he does not like his teacher, he does not like the system of education, but simultaneously, he was also disturbed with the domestic violence, where he was living in a small rented house in poor quarters of Munich. And what was the kind of domestic violence? That the landlady used to beat her children regularly. They used to shout, they used to howl in the house, cried in pain. And every Saturday, her drunkard husband used to beat her. So that was a kind of disturbance for Albert. And Albert wanted to give him comfort, so that's why he had to play violin, because violin was the only thing that gave him comfort. But playing this violin was not digested and tolerated by the landlady, because for the landlady it was a kind of disturbance for her. So cousin of Albert was Elsa. Elsa had come from Berlin to meet her cousin Albert. So she tells him to try to pass the examination just by repeating the things they teach. She tells him that if there were so many students who were more stupid than Albert, if they could also pass the examination, then why Albert could not. So this way she motivates her cousin, but Albert says that his only problem was not to learn the things by heart. He could not mug up the things. That was his only problem. He told that science is not taught as a subject at the school, but he was more interested in science, so that's why he wanted to leave the school. So Elsa failed to motivate her cousin Albert. Now it was the turn of Yuri. Yuri came to Albert to meet him, but he was very close to Albert, so Albert shared every problem with him, and he shared this problem, the problem of school as well as the problem of indiscipline of the poor quarter where he was living in Munich. So he told that he was living among civilized citizens, and it was a kind of domestic violence. He could not tolerate it. That's why it was disturbing him a lot. And on the other hand, it was the school environment also. The school system was not suitable for him because it focused on mugging up the things. So he was so nervous. He hated the place. He wanted to have an excuse for nervous breakdowns. That's why he asked him to find a suitable doctor for him. So Yuri told about Dr. Ernst Weil. Dr. Ernst Weil was a specialist in nervous troubles. He had recently qualified as a doctor. He easily understood Albert's problem. But here Albert was surprised to know that how Dr. Ernst Weil knew everything about his problem. So on asking Dr. Ernst Weil first gave a friendly smile at Albert, and then he told everything that he had been given every history of the case by Yuri, because Yuri was his friend also, and he had been a medical student with him. He was his classmate. So this way he got agree to give a medical certificate to Albert Einstein, because he knew that he also had been a student, and he know the problems of student as well, that how much pressure a student has. So he issued a medical certificate for 6 months. How Albert can forget his mathematics teacher, Mr. Koch. Mr. Koch was his mathematics teacher, and he was very close to Albert. He was very impressed with the performance of Albert Einstein in mathematics, and he was very ready to give a reference to Albert Einstein in which he wanted to write that Albert Einstein was so intelligent that he could teach the teacher even, and he wanted to get the reaction of Albert. Was it fine to get admission in Italian college? Now, Albert Einstein had the medical certificate. He was very happy to get it from Dr. Ernst Weil. He was going to submit it to the head teacher, but it was very surprised to know to Albert that he himself was called up by the head principal. At first, he was happy that he did not waste his time to wait outside the office, that he himself had been called up by the principal. But next, he was very sad when he came to know that just because of the complaints from the students as well as from the teachers, he had been called up by the head teacher. So when he went in the office, then he came to know that the head teacher had expelled him from the school because of the complaints. In his presence, it was difficult for the teacher to teach and for the students to learn, and this was the reason that was given by the head. So the head was very rude in behavior, but on the other side, Albert also showed his rude behavior to the principal, and it was wrong on his part. I hope, students, that you have found out the specific reason that why Albert Einstein was expelled from his school by the principal. So just because of one reason, that he showed his rude behavior. Had he talked very politely and shared his problem in a very polite way to his teacher, so we feel that he could have saved his schooling. He could not have been expelled from the school. So what I say here is that Albert Einstein focused on insight information. For him to understand the concept, to analyze the concept was more important than merely mugging up the things that's given in the book. So I hope that you have understood this chapter. Thank you.